Well, the never-ending cycle of celebrity ups and downs continued this year with a roller coaster ride for many. Some got thrown off, others are clinging on, still others are laughing all the way to the bank.
A speech by Oprah Winfrey at January's Golden Globes prompted a media frenzy.
A new day is on the horizon.
Speculation that she would run for president went viral until she popped the balloon. Losing air of her own accord,
"What's up, deplorable?"
Roseanne Barr, who was fired over racist tweets shortly after her remake show debuted. Surviving hate speech, MSNBC's Joy Reid.
I genuinely do not believe I wrote those hateful things.
She did, and is still on the air. Not so Entercom's Kirk Minahan.
They wanted to go one way. I didn't want to go that way.
Minahan's differences with Entercom followed his blistering attack on Globe columnist Kevin Cullen, a relentless diatribe that led to a 3-month suspension for the veteran columnist for exaggerations.
They went hard as a bully and screaming and throwing things and using vulgar language.
Also off the air, WBUR's Tom Ashbrook, accused and cleared of sexual harassment. Bullying brought him down.
You get in trouble if you are a white person who puts on blackface on Halloween, or a black person who puts on whiteface for Halloween. Like, back when I was a kid, that was okay.
But it wasn't okay with Megyn Kelly's NBC bosses, who had been looking for a reason to dump the $69 million host.
I'm sorry.
Still on a roll, the New Yorker's Ronan Farrow.
I walked into the door at the New Yorker with an explosively reportable piece.
Farrow continued what he started a year earlier, following up on sexual harassment accusations by some of news and Hollywood's biggest names. Gone from 60 Minutes, executive producer Jeff Fager and CBS chief honcho Les Moonves, whose bad behavior cost him $120 million in severance pay.
I have to say, Joanna, I don't think there's anything more stunning than the downfall of some of these media executives, Jeff Fager, Les Moonves, and a lot of the big stars that we've seen over the past 2 years. But I wonder, and I'm curious in your take on this, if there isn't going to be some kind of a reversal or a backlash. I have an uneasy sense of it.
I mean, it's hard. You know, the Me Too movement is, a little over a year old now. And I think, there was that sort of, there was an immediate frenzy, then there was a backlash, then there was a swing back. And I don't think the pendulum has settled. I've been trying to think of what the rhyme or reason is to who goes and who stays. And, ultimately, more people have gone than stayed from these high-profile media positions.
Without any kind of, they just bang. I mean, there was investigations in the case of Les Moonves and others, but...
And some of them, with Les Moonves, you knew what it was very well reported what the accusation was. But then someone like, this is, not quite media, but Garrison Keillor, he's trying to stage a comeback right now. It was very unclear what happened. So I think part of it is, can you point to the actual thing that happened? Or
I think with Jeff Fager, if you ask me.
In some of these cases with the vague accusations, I do wonder if there's going to be a new kind of reckoning.
There may be, I'm thinking back to that New York Review of Books issue that featured a John Ghomeshi story or personal essay. This is the guy, the Canadian Broadcasting Company host, who was kind of a national superstar, like Tom Ashbrook on steroids in Canada. And the New York Review of Books took an incredible amount of heat for letting him tell his side of the story as a figure in the avant-garde of being brought down by the Me Too movement. People were livid, and it cost the editor, Ian Baruma, his job. So if there's a backlash, I'm not sure it's begun yet, although I do think people have asked, people have suggested on certain occasions that if you are conflating, say, forcible rape with off-color comments, that could lead to the cheapening of more serious complaints that are brought by women against men in positions of power.
Matt Damon's point, like a year
Matt
ago,
Damon's
right?
point, Matt Damon's point a year ago, which
made sense. And he had to shut up.
I would also just add, this is not a Me Too situation. I want to make that clear, but we should be clear that Kirk Minahan, he's not off the air. I mean, he's got a podcast on Entercom. They're still investing in him.
He's not on broadcast.
He's not on broadcast, but I think, given the way media works today, that shouldn't be represented as a defeat. I mean, when the Globe wrote about his departure, it was, Entercom decided that...
Yeah, I listened to the podcast, and he said it for himself. He was taken off the air because they didn't want him talking about the Globe anymore or the Red Sox.
But now he's got a platform. He's
I understand,
going to do quite well for himself. I just want to put that
on the air.
I'm just saying Matt Damon is wrong then, and he's wrong. He remains wrong. Certainly there are differences between rape and what other kinds of uncomfortable and wrong sexual harassment. But I always say to you, just because somebody makes off-color remarks, don't say, it's always presented as though somebody made an off-color remark on Tuesday and now everybody's upset. You know what? They've been making them. They've been making them. They've been making people uncomfortable. They force people to lose their jobs. It's more than an off-color comment. So don't talk to me, Matt Damon, because you don't know about what the result of that is. And I think all of that has to continue to be explored. Now, to your point about Les Moonves having a deep investigation, that's fine. And there are other people that are having some of that kind of deep dive, but some of that information only comes out after the first few women come, and then we go back and find other stuff. That's the nature of what it means. And so there's going to be a lot of shifting for a while now. But all the people that want to come back, I've not seen anybody have enough information to bring themselves back.
All right, let's switch. Is Kelly, Megyn Kelly going to make a comeback?
You know, has she even left? I mean, this has been like the most drawn-out negotiations over somebody's departure that I've ever seen. I mean, NBC doesn't seem to want her. She doesn't seem to want to be there.
She's going to get her money.
Well, she wants her money, of course.
I think she'll get it.
Yeah, I mean, I never thought she had an awful lot going for her anyway. I thought her whole shtick was the less crazy person on Fox, and once you took her out of that context, I didn't think there was any real rationale for Megyn Kelly. I almost called her Kellyanne Conway.
Well, we said it here. It was more ratings driven than anything she said. I firmly believe.
Oh, I mean, we should tell people we were all guffawing when she was saying, you know, when I was a kid, it was okay to dress up in blackface.
Oh, we were all laughing during that.
Because it's not true.
No. Well, her hire was like irrational exuberance on the part of NBC, you know, and I think then they came down from the cloud and thought, oh, wait a minute, this was a mistake. So, yeah, I think in some ways that was an excuse. I mean, to touch on Callie's point, I think there are two issues here, and they're conflated and they're connected, but they're kind of separate. And one is, yes, culture needs to change. Everyone needs to get their act together and behave correctly, and we need new standards of behavior in the workplace. That's a little separate from punishment. And it's hard to get into the business of figuring out who should be punished in what way and how permanent each punishment should be. But regardless of who's punished and how, yes, a positive thing about Me Too is that it's made everybody think, look, some of this stuff that you've gotten away with forever, you can no longer get away with. You're on notice.
That's
absolutely.